So recently I've been listening to a lot of like indie rock pop type of music. There's this band in specific called Edge Hill that I just found. They popped up on my like Discover Weekly playlist and I heard one song and then I went to their artist profile and it turns out that one song is from a new album that they just dropped. Every song on there, it just inspired the crap out of me. I don't really listen to this type of genre, not too much like as a producer. Now I'm like in a producer state of mind. Anytime I listen to music, it's just kind of unavoidable at this point. I wanted to sit down today on camera and try to make this type of sound. I have all the instruments needed, especially drums, which is a blessing because most people have to resort to MIDI. So I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that I do have like actual acoustic drums that I can record. I have my bass and my electric guitar, so I'm just gonna see what comes out. I have no direction, no sort of like reference track that I'm using, but I have a feeling that it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be different, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's jump into it. Running the bass through my chroma console over here. I know you guys probably can't see it from that angle, but it's going into my interface and out of my interface into the chroma console, back into the interface from the chroma console. I can't screen record and show you guys that audio. I think I found a way to where you guys can hear it, but yeah, it's very finicky. I was messing with it all day yesterday. Hopefully it sounds good on y'all's end. Is pretty good. Once we get this edited, I'll probably switch over to the drums back there and lay something down on top of this. Alright, that's a good starting point. I'm gonna render this out and just duplicate it a bunch of times, and then like I said, we will go lay down something on the drums. Alright, let's see what we got. All right, let's get some more down. All right, let's do something for like a chorus. Alright, I'm happy with those. Let's go over to the desk, start editing them, and we'll come back if I need to. We've got a couple different sections though. Should be good. Alright, we're back at the desk. I've got the drum takes that I liked. I saved you guys the time of watching me chop them all up and edit them on time. There's 3 different parts that I took, 3 different 8-bar parts, so 24 bars of drums in total. The first part is a verse, and the second part is also a verse part, but it's just a little bit of variation from the first. And then the last 8 bars are just open hat riding on cymbals with some fills here and there. This part right here, I did that little thing on the drums. 1, 2, 3, and on the end of 3. So the way I fixed the bass was I just chopped out the last stroke on the last note and I moved it on the end of 3. So we have this part right here. Right before we go back into the next verse, which would be over here. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of mix the drums a bit. I just want to say before I do that, I am by no means an expert at this. I've been recording drums for maybe like a year-ish. I've been playing drums for a while, but recording and mixing, I'm still fairly new. So if you guys are an expert or if you guys have any tips for me, please leave them down in the comments. I would love to read through them. The one thing I will say is I do know about phasing. Phasing is, how do I explain this? I don't want to sound dumb, but basically it's kind of like when two waveforms are canceling each other out from the different mics. And the way to fix that is by flipping, in FL Studio, you flip this switch. It's the polarity reverse. I had to switch it on for the snare because without it, it just sounded flat. And then I flipped it on and it brought the snare completely to life. You'd be very surprised on how big of a difference it is. Let's see. I don't know if y'all will be able to hear this, but this is without the polarity switch. And then this is with the polarity switch on the snare. See, so there's more body to the snare. You can actually hear it doesn't sound paper thin. That's not just with snare mics. You can go in and if you hear a mic sounding very thin or whatever, just try flipping the polarity on it. It's probably a phasing issue. So yeah, I'm just gonna start mixing these to a sound that I like, and then we'll start moving on with some guitar and other things like that. That's a beefy sound. So honestly, I was expecting to get really deep in the weeds with this, but those two plugins, I mean, I've just got this SSL channel, which is basically like an EQ with a little bit of compression right here, and then the decapitator from Effect Rack, which just distorts, kind of saturates, it compresses all at once. Made it sound huge. I don't really think I need to do anything more to this. This is before effects. After effects. I really like that sound. I think the next thing I'm gonna go ahead and add is guitar. This is where things may or may not start to fall apart, or they might come together. We'll see. I'm gonna give myself the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna plug in my Fender Strat, see what we come up with. I have confidence. That's the key in this video. Totally out of my element, but it's fun. So get plugged up here. Alright, cool. I think I'm just gonna put those power chords down. I will add more for sure. Let's just get some guitar layers going. I like the little mutes. Alright, I'm gonna print this to the Chroma console. And then I'll do it again. That way we can have stereo guitars. I'm gonna run that one more time. That way, like I said, we can have stereo guitars and then we'll move on. Alright, now that you guys can hear it, this is what I mean by stereo guitars. Same thing with these overheads right here. I'm just gonna pan one to the left and one to the right. Now we get this like super wide sound. Maybe 65. Yeah. And like I said, I want to change the chord progression in the chorus section. Or maybe add just like a lead. I don't think we need to change the progression. I think I like the mutes like that, and then the full open strums of the power chords when this comes in. We definitely need to add more layers. Like I'm already hearing like a lead part on top of that, like Boom. Let's see if I can get it down. First, let's record this second half right here to match up with the bass and the drums hit. One more time. Fire. Right, so now we can duplicate this chorus section out a bunch and just try to come up with some sort of lead layer on top of these guitars and the bass. Let's put fuzz, up the reverb a ton. I like that. Hold on. All right. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. That way I can not have it too busy so I can still add some high parts to it. That's cool. Got a little call and response going on with the melodies. I like it. And try to get a better take. We'll just take that and use it in the first half. I think we're good for the chorus guitars for now. Okay, so I stepped away for a little bit just to clear my head and come up with some new ideas, and I thought about adding some acoustic guitar, but I think I just want it in the intro, so like maybe a 4 or 8 bar intro right before the verse, and then we get into the rest of the song, and then I'll have to come up with some sort of like bridge section or just something different to kind of break up the noise. It's got to be a little bit complex. I kind of do want to change up the chord progression somewhere in a bit, so I think a bridge section would be good. But first, let's get down the acoustic guitar. So we're on the couch. I've got my acoustic guitar right here. I'm going to be using this vocal mic that I have. It's the Audio-Technica AT2040 or 4040. I think it's 2040. Great vocal mic, very low noise floor. Not going to get a lot of like the fan and room noise. Should be able to just get the job done nice and clean. I'm going to track the same part twice and then we're going to pan them left and right. Same sort of technique with the DI electric guitar, except we're just using a mic. So let's do it. All right, that was good. I just got to do it one more time. Okay, so I've got both of the acoustic guitar takes tracked. I've got the left one panned hard left, the other one panned hard right. I routed them to a mixer bus and I put this telephone EQ effect, which I think is a really, really good like intro for this track. Basically, it just muffles both the low end and the high end. It sounds really cool. Gives it like a vintage nostalgic vibe. I've got this EQ crushing some of like the fret noise when I change chords just because it was a little too like ear piercing. So I'm kind of taming that with this compressor right here. And then this compressor is just the LA2A. It's kind of gluing both both tracks together. And then magic switch, I have it activated, but I turned it down a lot. This is just to give it more of like a nostalgic vintage feel with that chorusy sound. And then I also chopped it down from 8 bars just to the last 4 bars right before it drops into the verse section right here. So I'll let you guys listen to the acoustic guitars by themselves. Super cool. And then the way it sounds dropping into the verse is like this. And then the song starts. So we've got our intro down. I went ahead and arranged out some more sections. So we've got verse 1 right here, which is 16 bars. Yeah, 16 bar verse right here. And then 8 bar chorus. And then we've got an 8 bar verse for verse 2. And then we go back into the chorus. I want to change the last 4 bars of the chorus though to lead into the bridge section that I was talking about earlier. I am probably going to change like the last chord and just build with the drums. So I have to get both of those parts recorded, and I don't have a lot of time because I got to go to work in like an hour. So I'm going to try to speed run this. Let's do it. So we're changing up this part right here, just the last 4 bars. And I'm thinking we go dum 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 dum, and then new chord progression for the bridge, and then the drums are just pss, 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 pss. Let's get that down. We'll start with bass. So I gotta try to match the tone. That's the one thing about outboard gear. I didn't take like a picture or anything of it, so I'm gonna have to try to do my best to match the tone of the bass because I changed up the settings for the lead guitars when we were recording those. So gotta try to tone match this bass really quick. Put the drive. All right, that sounds pretty good. Let's put it down. Maybe more crush. That should be good. That's the bass part tracked. Now we got to do the same for the guitars. Tone seems pretty good. I think the reverb was down a little bit. Yeah. One more time. There we go. It'd be cool if this was the bridge low key. That could be the outro low key. Hold on. I just had, okay, so let me try to explain what just went on in my head real quick. So this would be the build right here. So we've got acoustic guitar. So like the acoustic guitar, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, and then back big guitars, big drums, and then back, and then outro right there. That's what we're gonna do. We don't got much time left. Let's do it. Should we end on the A or? I don't know. Wait, I kind of like ending on the E right there. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, now do bass for this part, and then we go do drums for the whole thing. Let's do this. I missed the cymbal grab. One more time. One of those should be good. I am mind blown. This took me 3 hours. I left the screen recording on the whole time. This took me 3 hours and 11 minutes to like set up the camera, set up all the different instruments and the mics and learn the part. I'm honestly blown away with myself, very impressed, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for my first real attempt at like trying to produce a song that sounds like this, something that I've been listening to and just absolutely loving recently. I love this. I'm blown away. I'm excited for you guys to hear the final result, and I appreciate y'all for watching this far into the video. If you like videos like this and if you like me trying new things, using more of my actual studio, I covered pretty much every inch of this place this morning while recording this. I've got about like 20 minutes before I have to go, so I'm gonna play this for you guys. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.